Hello everyone, good morning to all of you. Myself Sunil Pawar from New Catholic Mission High Secondary School welcomes you back for the new session of 11th class biology. As you know that we studied chapter 2 part 1 in our previous session. Okay, so now in this session we are going to continue the same chapter with second part. Okay, in first part we just talk about the taxonomy, okay, somewhat nomenclature and the system of classification, their merits, demerits, their importance, advantages, okay, drawbacks, merits, demerits, whatever they are. I hope so all concepts are very clear, okay, and if you have any problem then call me, right. So now in this session today we are going to discuss about the kingdom Monera. Okay, this is the first kingdom of 5 kingdom classification, that is the Monera. Okay, now first of all we are starting with this one. Okay, in this kingdom, the kingdom Monera includes all prokaryotes. Okay, likewise the bacteria, mycoplasma, actinomycetes and cyanobacteria. You know very well what is the common name of cyanobacteria, right? It is blue green algae. Okay, now and it lacks true nucleus and membrane bonded cell organism. Okay, as you know that so ultimately in a single line, if you want to define this Monerians, then you can say that Monerians are prokaryotic unicellular organisms with incipient nucleus. Okay, what is the meaning of incipient nucleus? The nucleus is not distinct in nature. It is not covered by nuclear membrane. It is one of the most primitive type of cell, and these Monerians are considered as the most primitive organism in the nature. Okay, so now here we are going to discuss saline features of kingdom Monera. So first of all, they are simplest or most primitive unicellular prokaryotes. Whenever you say the word prokaryote, this term, then pro means primitive and karyote is actually taken from the word that is karyon. Karyon means nucleus. That means the cells having the most primitive, most simple type of nucleus, that is called as prokaryotes, and this is the basic feature of kingdom Monera. The cell wall contains peptidoglycan or murein, no cellulose is there, and the membrane bound cell organelles are not present. This is the second main feature of this one thing. Okay, cell wall is also present in Monerian, cell wall is also present in which one? Plant cell, and is also present in the fungus too. Okay, but what is the speciality of this cell wall? It is made up of peptidoglycan, okay, or murein. That means there is total absence of the cellulose, chitin, pectin. Okay, so remember this one thing. Now then second thing, membranous cell organelles are absent. Clear? That means no double membranous cell organelles are present. They are totally absent. Remember this fact. These are two basic features of this one. Okay, then they have various types of nutrition like saprophytic, parasitic, chemoautotropic, photoautotropic and symbiotic too. That means such a wide range of nutrition is present. Clear? You are well familiar with the autotroph, okay, second the heterotroph. Then in this one also the saprophytic and parasitic nutrition is also given there. Saprophyte means what? When they based on the decaying organic matter, and you know that why this organic matter undergoes in the process of decomposition, that is only because of Monerians, because these Monerians are used to release the enzymes, digestive enzymes, and they responsible to convert that complex organic matter into simple one, and then later they used to absorb it. So this is the saprophytic mode of nutrition. In autotrophic also both the two chemoautotrophs, photoautotrophs is there. Okay, photoautotroph means what? They are able to trap the solar energy. Chemoautotroph means what? By performing some chemical reaction, energy involvement. Okay, and they are used to produce the higher one. Then the symbiotic one, you know very well. What is the symbiotic one? Symbiosis. Sym means together and bios means life. Okay, when two or more than two organisms live together, okay, and this togetherness is fruitful for them and they are depending on each other. Sorry, without this association or without this interaction, individually they are unable to survive. Okay, so that's why this is the symbiotic relationship also. DNA is naked, that means it is not covered in nature, it lies inside the cytoplasm in colloidal form, coil form, and it is also called as nucleoid. Remember, it is not nucleus, it is called as nucleoid. Okay, because it is not covered by the plasma membrane, it is not covered by the nuclear membrane. Okay, now, and second thing, it is coiled in nature. Most of them are circular in nature. Okay, and the flagella if present are single stranded instead of being 11 stranded as in eukaryote. This contains a protein called flagellin. Okay, you know that one of the basic difference between the prokaryote and eukaryotic flagella or cilia, that is internally they have the specific arrangement of the cilia, flagella inside it, fibers. Okay, that is 9 plus 2 is the basic feature of eukaryotes and 9 plus 0 is the basic feature of prokaryotes. So in monarians this 9 plus 0 is there. Okay, then reproduction is by asexual method and gametes are not present. Clear? Most probably they perform asexual reproduction, but in some cases when they perform the sexual reproduction, then there is no specific gamete formation is there. Okay, remember this special feature. Then mitotic spindles is absent during the cell division. There is absence of spindle formation to bring this chromosomes on the two opposite ends. Clear? Now, and some of the monarians have the ability to fix nitrogen into useful nitrates. You know that in nitrogen cycle, nitrosomonas and this kind of bacteria are there who is responsible for completing nitrogen cycle. You can't imagine this nitrogen cycle without the interaction of the bacteria. Okay, so these are the basic features. Now here we are categorizing them into the bacteria. Okay, archaebacteria, eubacteria, cyanobacteria and plasmodium. Okay, this is actually the group 1 and group 2. Group 1 is the archaebacteria and group 2 is containing all this 3-1. Okay, so one by one we are taking this one thing. So first of all, bacteria. Clear? So remember this term was coined by Ehrenberg, okay, in 1829. Clear? And they have such a widespread distribution, that means they are present everywhere in all three habitat, that is the air, water and the soil. Clear? And even they can survive in extreme range of temperature from 78 degrees Celsius to 190 degrees Celsius. Later we will discuss that is thermoacidophils, and this one they are even able to manage their survival in the volcanic mouth. Okay, during the volcanic eruption even they continue their survival. Now next one thing, they are prokaryotic microorganism. Very clear. They are unicellular. The cell wall is composed of peptidoglycan. Remember, whenever you talk about the cell wall of the bacteria, then always it is of which thing? Right, that is the peptidoglycan. Then an organized nucleus is absent. As I told you, this is the basic feature of monarian. Wherever you are writing about the characteristics of any Monera group, any member of the Monera group, then the saline feature you can repeat there only. Clear? Now, so this extra chromosomal self-replicating DNA segment called plasmid occurs in most of the bacteria. Here one more new term is there, that is the plasmid. Clear? What is this plasmid? This plasmid is also a double-stranded DNA structure. It is also circular, but it is also called as extra chromosomal material. That means it is not basically the nucleus, or it is not considered the nucleoid. Clear? It is present in the cytoplasm in excess of the normal genetic material. Clear? It is rounded, it is circular in nature, and what is the special feature? It is self-replicating. Most important thing is that it is self-replicating. That means it can make its copies, replicas. Okay, it is able to control some features too. So that's why this plasmid is very important from the biotechnological point of view for our purpose and normally for the bacteria and this one thing, clear. Then this mitochondria, plastid, Golgi apparatus, endoplasmic reticulum and the other membrane covered cell organelles are absent. Simply in one line, what is it? Double membranous organelles are absent. That means you can write all these organelles as a absent, right? Okay, now then here we are going to discuss the size. Okay, the size of bacterial cell ranges from 1 to 10 micron in length and 0.7 to 1.5 micron in width. So they are very small. Okay, they are considered the smallest organism in the nature. Okay, and you know that one of the variety of mycoplasma, that is Mycoplasma gallisepticum, it is considered as the smallest living creature in the nature. Okay, we are moving forward. Now here we are going to discuss the form of the bacteria, clear. So now this bacteria can be classified on the basis of the two facts, one on the basis of the shape and second is on the basis of the motility. Okay, motility means capability of movement, and if there is capability of movement then surely they will have some locomotory organ or some organ which make them to move, either cilia or flagella. So that is basically flagellum is there. Okay, so now here in this slide we are discussing about the form of bacteria on the basis of the shape. Okay, so first one, that is the cocci. Okay, simply cocci, the plural is the coccus, the singular one. Okay, it is nothing special, it is oval or spherical in shape. Okay, and they are called as micrococcus, clear. When they are single then they are called as monococcus, clear. Micrococcus or monococcus, see that this is spherical ball shaped structure. When they are single in nature then they are monococcus, when they are two in nature then they are diplococcus in nature. Okay, then they are present in the form of four, then they form this tetrad and it is called as the tetracoccus in nature or quadracoccus in nature. Okay, then next one thing, when they are present in the form of a chain like structure, that is called as the streptococci, clear. Next one thing, when they are present in the form of the group of 8, then it is called as Sarcina. Okay, and when they form in the form of the bunch of this grape, that is called as Staphylococcus in nature. Okay, so remember mono, di, tetra. Okay, then this linearly aligned, this three-dimensional like the grape of bunch, so they are having this basic structure. Okay, again I am repeating, the meaning of coccus or cocci is spherical. So what is the shape of this one thing? Spherical. Okay, now then we are moving toward the next category, that is the bacillus. Bacillus means rod shape in nature. Okay, so again it is with the same one, when they are single then we call them the bacillus. When they are two, then they are called as diplobacillus. When they form this straight linear chain like structure, that is called as chain of bacilli, or it is called as the streptobacillus, clear. When they form this like this bunch of grapes, then it is called as streptobacillus, like the same one. Okay, like the cocci one. Okay, then we come to the vibrio. Okay, this is with this shape only it is very clear that it is somewhat spindle shaped, it is comma like in nature. Okay, and most of all because of flagellum is there, so they are motile in nature. Okay, so they are comma like in nature. Then next we come, that is the spirilla example, and it is the variety is the spirillum. Okay, so they are spiral shape in nature, they are coil like a which thing, that is the screw shape in nature. Okay, and the difference between these two is that this bear two or more than two flagellum there. Okay, now then we come to discuss the filamentous in nature. When they are like a filament, that is called as the filamentous. The example is Thiothrix in nature. Okay, then stalked. Okay, you saw the shape of the baseball bat. Okay, it is somewhat ampular in nature and having a handle like structure. Same thing is there, that is the stalked in nature. And that next one finally the budded. Okay, budded means what? When they are having the buds, an outgrowth on their main body, not the two cell or more than one cell, okay, but they are having the outgrowth like structure, that is called as the budded one. So this is the group of bacteria or the grouping of the bacteria, their classification on the basis of their shape. Now here we are going on the classifying them on the basis of their motility. Clear? So as I told you, what is the basic feature of the motility? They need some appendages for their movement. Okay, so first of all here, the first one, there is the atrichus. Okay, atrichus means what? A means absence. When such bacterial cell who is lacking this thing, flagella, then it is called as atrichus. Okay, now likewise this Posterella is the good example. Then next one, there is the monotrichus. Yes, what is the meaning of monotrichus? Good. Simply mono means single. Okay, that means the bacterial cell having a single flagella either of any side, any end of this one thing, that is called as monotrichus. Then next one is the amphitrichus. Okay, amphi means both. Okay, when it is flagella at both the two sides, then it is called as amphitrichus. Next one thing, cephalotrichus. Okay, what is the meaning of cephalotrichus? When there are many flagella that occur at the two ends of the bacteria. A good example is the Pseudomonas. Okay, both the two sides, but more than two or more than two, then it is called as cephalotrichus. Then Lophotrichus, here the bunch of flagellas are present but only at one side only, that is called as the Lophotrichus. And finally the Peritrichus. Clear? In this Peritrichus you can see that these flagellas are present surrounding the whole bacterial body. Okay, so we call it which one thing? Peritrichus in nature. Okay, now so this is the classification of the bacteria on the basis of their shape. Clear? We are having the two categories, one that is the shape and second is the movability or the motility. Clear? Now here, now we are going to discuss the bacterial cell. In general, the bacterial cell. Clear? So just take a close look of this bacterial cell. Okay, and also remember this for the whole description. Clear? Now you can see that this is the bacterial cell. It is just a capsular shape. What I said? Capsular shape, right? So the outermost this capsule like structure is present. This is called as capsule. Okay, but remember this capsule is not present in all the bacteria. Okay, later we will discuss that there are two varieties of the bacteria. One is virulent and second is non-virulent. Virulent means what? One who is chronic, one who is lethal in nature, that is called as virulent. Clear? Okay, just like that. Maybe you heard the name of the Diplococcus pneumoniae bacteria. Okay, it has two strains. One is R2 and second is S3. One with the smooth capsular wall and one is the rough one. Okay, so those who are having rough, they are having a specific protein around it which is responsible to cause the impact of that disease. Okay, so it becomes virulent in nature, it becomes lethal in nature. Okay, so remember two strains are there. Mostly all the virulent strain consisting which thing? It consisting capsule. Okay, and this is absent in the non-virulent in nature. Okay, now then this capsule is immediately followed by this cell wall. Okay, you know that the cell wall is made up of peptidoglycan. Clear? Then this cell wall is followed by a membrane like structure which is called as bacterial membrane, or simply we can call it the plasma membrane. Clear? Now this plasma membrane is having such infold like structures is there which is responsible to facilitate the secretion of the enzymes and the other processes too. Clear? Now then here you can see that this cytoplasmic contents are there. Okay, and this cytoplasmic content, one thing that is this DNA. You can see that it is not free in nature, it is coiled in nature and it's basically circular in nature, and you can see that it is not covered by any which thing, nuclear membrane is absent. That's why it is called as the nucleoid. Okay, what we call it, the nucleoid. Clear? Now, then here you can see that these ribosomes are there. These ribosomes are basically of 70s unit. Clear? Now, then here you can see that in this plasma membrane, this chain like structure is there. This is called as the respiratory chain. Clear? Now, and whatever the process of respiration, cellular respiration is there, because there is absence of the mitochondria, so this process takes place in the cytoplasm directly. Clear? Now, then here you can see that the cytoplasmic inclusions are there. That means some organic and inorganic solid crystal like structures are there. Okay, and here you can see that this structure is covered by this one. Okay, that is the flagellum. Okay, so this is the motile one, right? So in general, when we are talking about the structure of the bacterial cell, then these basic structures are there. Okay, now so one by one we are considering this one. Okay, now so basically what is the special feature of bacterial cell? It is prokaryotic in nature. And what is the second feature? Right, they have incipient nucleus. What is the meaning of incipient nucleus? It is indefinitive in nature, or it is naked in nature. Naked means what? Is it not covered by the cell membrane, plasma membrane or the nuclear membrane, because we already call that this monarians are lacking membrane bonded structure. Remember this fact. Okay, now here as I told you, the outermost structure, that is the capsule. Clear? These are having the slimy capsule around it. Okay, which is followed by the cell wall. It is made up of polysaccharides, and the nitrogenous substance amino acids are also there. Okay, and sometimes this slimy layer is become thick and let it call the capsule. Clear? And on the basis and absence of this one thing, we already categorize them into the virulent and non-virulent varieties. Clear? Okay, now, and basically the capsule is found in the parasitic form of the bacteria. You know that why? Because this capsule is quite protecting in nature also. Okay, and parasites are present. They have to face different enzymes and the different chemical substances in the host cell. Clear? So that's why it is covered by this capsule. Now, then next one, cell wall. We already learned that it is the peptidoglycan in nature. It is immediately follow the capsule. Clear? And having some polysaccharides are also there, proteins are there, lipids are there. Okay, and this NAG and NM. What is this NAG and NM? That is N-acetyl glucamide and N-acetyl muramic acid. These acids are present as the amino acid. Okay, and some dextrose glutamic acid is also there, and it is basically found in the different categories. Okay, indifferently. Now, next we come to discuss the plasma membrane. As you learn the structure of plasma membrane in the 9th class, it is similar to the same one. Clear? It is composed of large amount of phospholipids, proteins, and some amount of polysaccharides are also there, but sterols are absent. Okay, and it is categorized by the possessing the respiratory enzymes. As I told you, there is no mitochondria, there is no secretory substances, that means the organelles or vacuoles are there. Okay, so whatever the numbers of enzymes which required for the respiration, it is secreted by the respiratory chain which is present in the membrane. Okay, now then we come to the cytoplasm. Clear? What is cytoplasm? The matrix like feature of the liquid which is present in between the nucleus and the plasma membrane, but because there is no nucleus, that means no nucleus means no specific nucleus. So that's why whatever the liquid or that matrix which is present or which is filled inside this cell membrane, that is called as cytoplasm. Okay, and it consisting carbohydrates, soluble proteins, enzymes, coenzymes, vitamins, lipids, minerals, and all this one thing, as well as salts and nucleic acid also there. Okay, and nucleic acid is basically DNA. Now This organic matter is in the colloidal form basically, and the composition of cytoplasm is not static in nature because it is interactive. It shows this metabolic activity, so all the metabolites can change their nature, and this one thing clear now. And it is lacking this double membrane structure. Okay, so these are absent, and in this autotrophic bacteria, even you may see in some thylakoidal structure, okay, which is responsible for holding this photosynthetic color pigment, okay, and bacteriochlorophyll. And second thing, they are responsible for trapping the solar energy. Now finally we come to discuss one more thing, that is the nucleoid. Clear? As I told you, because this nucleus is not definite in nature, it is indefinite in nature. It is not covered by this plasma membrane or the nuclear membrane, okay. So we call it the nucleoid. Clear? Second thing, it is also called as the genophore. It is naked in nature, it is incipient in nature, it is double stranded structure, it is helical and circular in nature, okay. And one more thing, it is basically surrounded by this typical protein like membrane that is called the polyamine, okay. And the most important feature is that it is lacking non-hereditary protein like the histone, okay. Histone is totally absent, okay, so it is absent there, okay. Now, and remember one more term which you learn, that is, it is also called as the genophore, okay. So two name, one that is the nucleoid and second is the genophore. And what is the most important feature? It is double stranded, helical, circular in nature, okay, and it is not covered by the nuclear membrane, okay. Now we are moving forward, that is the plasmid, okay. As I discussed earlier, this plasmid is nothing special. It is also a double stranded circular DNA, okay. But what is the speciality? It is not directly responsible for inheriting the genetic character or the genetic traits, clear. But it is also called as extra chromosomal genetic material, right? Got it? What is the meaning of extra chromosomal genetic material? Extra means in excess of the nucleus. Chromosomal means except than the chromosome, but it is a genetic material because it is also capable of carrying this parental character from one cell to another one, okay. So remember this thing, clear. It is self-replicative in nature, it can be maintained its transmission independently, clear. And in some cases when this plasmid is present at the outer surface of the circular chromosomal structure, what we call that is the DNA, that is called as episome. Epi means above and soma means the body, that means that genetical circular body which is present above the surface of the circular genetic material, that is called, that's why I call it the episome also. Now next one, that is the flagella, okay. What is the flagella? It is a long thread like structure. We already discussed the classification on the basis of this flagella. It is the locomotory organ. It is present only in which bacterial cell? Those who is able to move. Next one thing, what is the configuration of fibrils? These fibrils are 9 plus 0, that means in the center of this fibrillar that arrangement 2 fibers are absent, clear. And it's basically responsible for locomotion. Now we are considering the next final one, that is the pili or the fimbriae, okay. The cilia like structures who cover the whole capsular structure or the outermost cell wall, okay. Now these are very small in size, they measure about 0.5 to 2 millimeter in length and 3 to 5 millimeter in diameter, okay. And they are micrometer, sorry, and they are of A type, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 and F type, and all these are called as the sex pili, clear. Now why we call them the sex pili? Because they are not responsible for sexual reproduction, but they facilitate the process of conjugation. When the two opposite cell come close and attach, then this pili, sex pili are responsible to hold the surface of each other. That's why we call them the sex pili. Clear? And basically it is bacteria, and very few of gram positive bacteria also absent, and this attachment, these are basically responsible for the attachment of the bacteria with the next bacterial cell during the sexual reproduction, likewise the conjugation. Now here we are discussing about the nutrition in bacteria. Okay, so bacteria are both autotrophic as well as heterotrophic. Clear? That means we can call them mixotrophic in nature. Okay, now then basically we can categorize them into two, autotrophic and heterotrophic. Autotrophic is further categorized into two, photosynthetic and chemotrophic in bacteria. Okay, so autotrophic photosynthetic bacteria they are able to trap the solar energy and perform this one thing. Okay, so it is called as the bacteriochlorophyll, it is called as the bacterioviridin, and it is believed that this bacteriochlorophyll or bacterioviridin will later transform in the form of the chlorophyll of the higher plants, okay, or the algae and all these green plants. So this is the beginning of the photoautotropic mode of nutrition. Clear? And remember, they are not responsible to release the oxygen. That means this photosynthesis is what type in nature? This is called as non-oxygenic photosynthesis. That means during this process oxygen is not released. Okay, I think so you learn about the sulfur bacteria, okay, and thiobacteria, this one thing where what is the source of hydrogen except then the water molecule, likewise the organic substances or this H2S and this one thing, so where this is not going to release the oxygen. Okay, now next category of the autotrophic is that the chemosynthetic. Clear? During this one the energy is derived from the exergonic chemical reaction, just like the nitrifying bacteria and this one thing, who is able to utilize this energy to trap and form the higher organic molecules. Clear? Now then we are going to discuss the heterotrophic mode of nutrition. Basically these three are there: saprophytic, parasitic and symbiotic. Okay, as I told you, what is the saprophytic mode of nutrition? Saprose means decayed or decaying organic matter. That means the mode of nutrition in which these bacteria are used to receive this food material from the decaying organic matter by releasing their digestive enzymes outside the cell and by converting them from complex to simple form in nature. Okay, so this is the saprophytic bacteria. Okay, and because they are responsible to decompose, that's why these bacteria are also called as the natural sweepers. Okay, they are the cleaners. Okay, now next one thing, parasitic, you know that so many parasitic bacteria are there which is basically responsible for causing the diseases, even the human being also. This Salmonella typhi, okay, which is responsible for causing this typhoid. Okay, now some tuberculosis, and these all are there because of this bacteria. Okay, so these are the parasite, and basically endoparasite and permanent type of parasites are there. That means they continue their whole life processes in the host cell only. Without host cell they can't survive. Then the symbionts. Okay, as I told you, when two or more than two organisms lived in a totally interactive mode of life. Okay, that means they are dependent on each other. No one can survive independently. Clear? So this one, likewise, you are very well familiar with this example of root nodules of this this one leguminous family. That means like this, all the pulses. Okay, likewise the gram, their roots containing root nodules. Okay, so in this nodule these bacteria are there, likewise this rhizobium and this one. Okay, you are very well aware of this one thing, who is responsible to trap the atmospheric nitrogen and converting them into the usable form. That means their oxides and this one. Okay, now then here we are going to discuss the staining of bacteria. Clear? See that there are what is the staining? Coloring of bacteria for its study, and by coloring them even we can classify them into the two most important categories, that is the gram positive bacteria and second is the gram negative bacteria. Okay, here you can see that the staining is of two types, one is simple staining and second is the gram staining. As I told you, the simple staining, what is the simple staining? The simple way of coloring any observing material under the microscope, that is called as simple staining. Clear? Just like by using any staining reagents, clear, any stainer, we can stain the cell and we can observe under the microscope. Simply bacteria can be also observed. Okay, so this is a simple staining, the simple procedure. Clear? Now then the second one is which one thing? That is the gram staining. This is the special feature of the bacterial staining. Okay, and because it was developed by a scientist named as Gram, no? That's why it is named as in 1884, that is the Christian Gram. In 1884 he discovered this procedure, so that's why it is called as the gram staining. Clear? So what is the procedure of gram staining? With the help of this summary chart we can conclude this one thing. Okay, so first of all, these bacteria are used to prepare a film. Okay, a very fine smear, very thin smear of the bacterial cell is used to apply on the this thing, that is the slide. Okay, so first we prepare them, then here we are using this crystal violet, okay, stainer. Okay, this crystal violet stainer to stain this bacteria. Then what you will observe, that all the bacteria which is present in this smear will take the color of blue color or the bluish purple color, right? Are you getting me? Okay, what is the first step? First you have to prepare the smear of bacteria. Second, you have to stain them with the help of this crystal violet stainer. Then what will happen? All the bacteria present in this smear, whether it is positive or negative, okay, it doesn't matter, they all will stain with blue color or bluish purple color. Clear? Then we used to wash them with the potassium iodide solution. Clear? Then what happened? Then stain will be fixed due to formation of a complex crystal violet and potassium iodide modern structure. Okay, then de-staining is done with the help of water and alcohol. Clear? Here we are taking nearly the 95% concentrated ethyl alcohol for its washing. Clear? Now you will have the two observation. One, if the stain does not come out, that means this bacteria remain bluish in color or bluish purple in color, then this category will consider as the gram positive. Okay, and if they will loses their staining and the stain will comes out, okay, that is called as gram negative, right? So what are the gram positive and negative bacteria? Such bacteria or the category of the bacteria which stain with the help of the gram staining, that is called as gram positive, and who is not stain with the gram staining, that is called as the gram negative one. Okay, now so here even you can see that what are the basic differences between the gram positive and gram negative one. Okay, so here is a tabular form is given. This is the gram positive and this is the gram negative. Okay, so what you can see that in the gram positive they remain colored with the blue or the blue purple in nature, while this gram negative bacteria will not stain with this gram stainer. Here you can see that the cell wall is single layered, okay, and even the outer membrane is absent while it is present here. The thickness of the wall is ranges between 100 to 200 angstrom, while here only 70 to 120 angstrom. Clear? Then here the lipid content is quite low in gram positive, while it is quite higher in 20 to 30% higher in this gram negative one. Okay, the wall is straight in positive while it is maybe folded and somewhat curved in nature. Now Mucopeptides are ranges from 70 to 80%, while in the negative it is hardly 10 to 20%. Clear? Basal body of the flagellum is having the 2-ring swelling. Here is the 4 rings there. Mesosomes are more prominent, the mesosomes are less prominent. Okay, these bacteria are more susceptible to antibiotics. That means they are less resistant in nature, while here these are more resistant to antibiotics. That means they are having high capacity to cause diseases. Okay, then the fewer pathogens bacteria belong to gram positive group, and most of the pathogenic bacteria belong to gram negative one. Okay, number of amino acids is also important. Only 8 amino acids are present in the cell wall of gram positive bacteria, while nearly 20 amino acids are present in the gram negative bacteria. Okay, and here the cell wall consisting the thicoic acid. Remember, this is one of the special feature. Okay, this thicoic acid is present in the gram positive cell wall, while it is absent in the gram negative cell wall. Remember this fact. Okay, now here we are moving forward for the reproduction in bacteria. Okay, first of all we are talking about the asexual reproduction in bacteria. So simply it reproduces with the help of the binary fission. Whatever you learn in the binary fission of the amoeba, similar to the same one. Okay, simply because no specific configuration or the composition of the genetic material. So simply this nucleus, or what you call that, the incipient nucleoid, or the nucleoid is divided amitotically, because chromosomal number is not fixed, remember. Okay, so just by growing a fold in the circular DNA, it divided into 2 structures, and later on by using this furrow, finally this cell is also divided into 2, and here you can see that a single bacterial cell is now divided into 2 daughter bacterial cell. Okay, now simple. Then second one, that is by the endospermic formation. Okay, see the name endosperm. Okay, sperma means seed. So seed like structure who is responsible to give birth to the next generation. Okay, is formed inside the parental cell. Clear? That is called as the endosperm formation, and actually it is a protective mode of reproduction. Okay, when the conditions are unfavorable, okay, these bacteria are unable to survive, then in this condition what happens, this vegetative cell of the bacteria, okay, is responsible to collect this nucleic material at one side. Clear? And it may cover a spore coat around it. That means, that's why we call it the endospore. Endo means within. Okay, so this nucleus is deposited at one side, it is covered by a proper protective covering. So you can see that there is a double protection layer. Okay, so we call it the which one thing, endospore, and then later on it will be mature and protected from the unfavorable condition, and when the favorable conditions will be back, okay, then this outer coating will degenerated, destroyed, ruptured, and this endospore will comes out and will grow as a normal cell. Clear? Now next one thing, we are going to discuss the sexual mode of reproduction. Okay, in the sexual mode of reproduction we are having this different feature. Okay, first one, that is the conjugation. Right, conjugation means to conjugate. To conjugate means to connect. Clear? So here basically we are having the 2 types of bacterial cell. Okay, one is F positive and second is F negative. Okay, so what is this F1? F, that is the factor 1. This extra chromosomal material is present, that is called as F positive, or is called as the positive strain. Okay, and which is lacking, this one is called as the negative strain. Clear? Or it is also called as the incipient cell, or it is called the recipient cell, and this is called as the donor cell. Clear? What happened? This 2 strain, positive and negative strain, come close. Okay, and just by growing and outgrowth around it, okay, they get connected cytoplasmically. They form this tube like structure who is responsible to connect these 2 cytoplasmically. So that's why this is also called as a cytoplasmic bridge. Okay, what we call it, cytoplasmic bridge. Okay, then this extra chromosomal material is replicate itself, and one part of this one is shifted to this one. Okay, see that there is no exchange of the main chromosomal or the genetic material, and later on it is also responsible to turn this one into the positive strain. Okay, so this is the conjugation, and remember this recipient cell is also called as the female variety, and the donor is called as the male one. Now we are having next one, there is a transformation. Transformation means to transform, that means to change. Clear? So the process of changing the nature of the genetic material from their original nature, that is called as transformation. Clear? Here with the help of just like that, the actually this Griffith, okay, later in the 12th class we will discuss about the genetic material DNA. Then we will come to know about one experiment which performed by the Griffith. Okay, he just used to convert a non-virulent strain of pneumonia into the virulent strain of pneumonia. Okay, and that procedure is only considered the transformation. Okay, so if you are having any reference book, then just go through it. But here I just want to tell you with the help of this one thing. Here you can see that this is the main bacterial cell and this is the external genetic material. Anyhow, likewise, by the infection or by the attack of any one thing, it entered in this bacterial cell. Okay, then what happened? Either this chromosome become the part of this parent bacterial cell, okay, and it will form this recombinant DNA. Clear? Or it will remain there as a plasmid separately, okay, and it become the part of this one. So what you observe, this genetic material is turned from this type to this type because this one is different from this bacterial material because it is having this extra genetic material. Okay, so this is the recombination process who is responsible to turn or transform from this bacteria to this bacterial category. Okay, so this is the transformation. Now next we are going to discuss the transduction. Clear? Transduction means to transduces, okay, or to induces. Clear? This can be learned with the help of the reproduction of the bacteriophage also. What is the bacteriophage? It is not a bacteria, it is a phage virus, okay, who is responsible to destroy the bacterial cell. So here we can learn this one thing. It is also a method of recombination and the formation of the new genetic material by the combination. Okay, here you can see that this is the bacterial cell. Okay, now here you can see that this bacteriophage comes and attach here. Okay, then it will penetrate and it will releases its genetic material in the bacterial cell. Clear? So now later on what happened, this viral DNA, okay, it make its copy, and there is the two possibility. Either this copies become the part of this bacterial genetic material, or they remain separate in nature. Okay, so because of its own property, it will form its proteinous outer covering and they will form the phage DNA. So in some cases, this viral is become the part of this one, okay, and in the next penetration to the healthy bacterial cell, it transferred it to the recipient cell, and then later on this DNA is become the part of this bacterial DNA, phage DNA is become the part of bacterial DNA, and this way you can see that a recombinant cell is formed. Recombinant cell, or you can also call it the recombinant DNA. Clear? What is the meaning of recombinant DNA? Recombinant, that means the DNA structure which formed by the combination of two or more than two DNA molecules, that is called as recombinant DNA. So here you can see that by this method of transduction, the new variety of the DNA is produced by the mixing of two genetic material. Okay, so this is the mode of sexual reproduction. Now Here we are going to discuss the uses of bacteria. Okay, so there are two sides of the uses. One is the harmful effect and second is the useful effect. Okay, the harmful effect, you can see that bacteria are the natural scavengers and they obtain their nutrition from decomposition of the dead bodies. Okay, so they are responsible for decomposing the organic material. Okay, they are used in fermentation process, clear, for the manufacturing of the vinegar or the yogurt or this one thing, clear. Some bacteria are responsible for rating of the jute and coconut plant fibers and this one thing which is helpful for making this ropes and the gunny bags, clear. The genus Streptomyces is having the special feature of producing this antibiotic. Most of the antibiotics which you have, it obtained from this bacteria. Okay, just like that, this streptomycin, gramicidin and a bacitracin, these all are from the bacteria. Then they are playing the most important role in the nitrogen fixation. They are the which one thing, symbionts in nature. Even they are responsible for the recycling of the materials too. Okay, so this is the useful effect. Now some harmful effects are there. They are saprophytic, just like this lactobacillus spoil the milk. Okay, food poisoning is there because of this Clostridium botulinum in nature. Remember this word. Okay, what is the Clostridium botulinum? That is the responsible, this bacteria is responsible for food poisoning. Whenever you heard about the cases of food poisoning who claim the death, then it is because of this bacteria. Okay, in human this bacteria also causes diseases like cholera, gastric ulcers, tuberculosis. Okay, then sexually STDs are there like gonorrhea, okay, syphilis, clear. And even in animal like the horses, cattle, sheep, anthrax, these are the diseases which causes by the bacteria. So bacteria are very important from the economic point of view. Okay, because they are having harmful effect as well as useful. But you know that the whole alcoholic, or what you call that is the wine industry, is depends on the which one thing, bacterial infection. The whole bakery industry is depends on bacterial action. The whole milk industry for making of curd, for making of cheese, for making of yogurt. Okay, this all such thing, and different varieties of this one, the acid, the fermentation processes, different vinegar, acid, butyric acid, these all actually made by this one thing. Okay, so here you can see that these all are very important. And most here you can also see that these archaebacteria are also there. They are the chemoautotrophs in nature. Okay, now here we are moving forward for the third category of the bacteria, that is the archaebacteria. Okay, the word itself giving you the meaning. Archae means ancient or primitive, bacteria means the bacterial cell. Okay, so such bacteria which is very primitive or ancient in nature, we call them the archaebacteria. Okay, and these bacteria are even now not existing in nature. Okay, and some of them are still continuing here in the nature. So even we can call them the living fossils also, few of them, clear. Now here we can see that they are present in the extreme condition like the salty condition, in the hot springs and in the marshy areas, all this one thing. Okay, so what are the basic features of this one thing? They are the most primitive prokaryotes. Okay, they are found in the most stressed environmental condition, as I told you. Okay, then next one thing, their cell wall is lacking peptidoglycan, and most of the cases the cell wall composed of non-cellulosic polysaccharides, and some proteins are there. Again, few members are even not having the cell wall, clear, and some of them having some specialty which is responsible for their survival in the extreme condition. Okay, and most of these bacteria are chemoautotrophs in nature. Now here we are discussing the types of archaebacteria. So basically we categorize them into three: one methanogens, second is halophils, and third is the thermoacidophils. Clear? very clear from this name, methanogens. Okay, such bacteria who is present in the marshy area, okay, or even a variety of cattle, like the cud chewing animals. Okay, so they are having 4-chambered stomach. Clear? So in this stomach they are having the speciality of this methanogens there only. Okay, so they also used to produce the methane by the decomposition of the cellulose. Okay, that's why it is called as methanogens. Clear? Now, so this methanobacterium, methanobacillus, methanocarcina and the methanococcus is the good example of methanogens. Now we are talking about the halophils. Halos means salt. Clear? So these are also called as the salt loving bacteria. Clear? This bacteria can survive in extreme concentrated salt solution. Okay, what we are doing when we are having some irritation in throat, basically the gargling, okay, of hot salty water to kill the bacteria. But what you observe, these are salt loving bacteria. Clear? These bacteria are even able to survive in the hypertonic solution, that means such a concentrated salt solution. Clear? So these are basically halococcus and this halobacteriums are there, which is a good example of this one thing. The finally there are the thermoacidophils. The name itself, thermos and acidophils. Okay, thermo means heat. So basically these bacteria are heat and acid resisting in nature. Okay, even they can survive in the extreme acidic condition of the pH value of 2 only, or even below than this one. Okay, and even they are able to survive, this thermo one, they are able to survive in the very hot temperature, even in the volcanic mouths also. So see that such a great range of survival is there. That's why we call them the organism of the extreme environment. Okay, so this is the speciality of this one, and these enzymes are able to resist them in this condition. Now we are moving forward. What is the importance of this archaebacteria actually? Okay, they are most ancient, they are most primitive, the most modified form of bacteria is also there. Then what is the importance of this one thing? Okay, so we can conclude that they are very important from this modern biotechnology. As I told you, these bacteria are very helpful for generating the new features, okay, by the process of recombination, by implementing the positive features or introducing these features in the varieties of bacteria, we can produce the useful bacteria also there. Okay, then the generation of biogas. As you know that this biogas plants actually works with the help of the action of this bacteria. Okay, so they are helpful for biogas production. Then the thermophilic enzymes are also there. They used to produce the thermophilic enzymes which prevent the temperature effect. Clear? Then the biosensors also. Okay, their availability is helpful to learn about the presence and availability of the life there only. Clear? Then they are having the restriction enzyme. Clear? Restriction enzyme is what? Later you will learn in the biotechnology that during the cutting of the DNA molecule from a particular place, okay, either from the outer side or from the middle part of the DNA. Okay, so this enzyme, this is called as actually the endonuclease enzyme. Okay, this nuclease is restriction. What is the name? Restriction. That means one who restrict the continuity of the DNA by finding the specific place on the DNA chain. Okay, so that's why this restriction enzyme is considered as the most important tool for the biotechnology. Okay, now, or we can call it the DNA replication technology. Now the third one, that is the eubacteria. U means develop. Whatever the features of the bacteria, these all are present here, but only the presence of some higher group of organic and inorganic material is there, so we call it the eubacteria. Otherwise the all structure is same. Now we are moving forward to the fourth category of the bacteria, that is called the cyanobacteria, right? That is blue green algae. Okay, now in your previous class, you learn that blue green algae, okay, these are not algae, these are bacteria, but they are photosynthetic in nature, they are symbiotic in nature, okay, in the paddy fields, and here you find them, and they are responsible for this survival of this something. Okay, so likewise this nostoc, Anabaena, Oscillataria, Spirulina, okay, Rivularia, okay, these all are there. Even they are present in the habitats like the hot springs, sea water, and in the polluted areas too. Okay, and basically this cyanobacteria is having this three basic form. One, that is the unicellular, okay, we call them the crocus. When they are in the colonial form, then we call them the microcystis in nature. Okay, when they are filamentous in nature, likewise this nostoc and Oscillataria and the Anabaena is there. Okay, now here is the structure of the cyanobacteria. So with the help of this cell, you can learn about the structure of cyanobacteria. Okay, simply what we concluded, the outermost capsular structure, okay, it is followed by the cell wall, same, cell wall is followed by the membrane, same, okay, then inside this membrane we are having this cytoplasmic material or this matrix, clear. But what you observe, in excess of this circular DNA, this special features you can find out, that is called the thylakoids. Okay, this thylakoids is present, okay, in the form of grana, then granum in the chloroplast in the modern photosynthetic cell. Okay, so these are the beginning of the photosynthesis, where this solar energy trapping structures start to produce, and they are thylakoids, and this thylakoid consisting, that is the bacterioviridin or the bacteriochlorophyll, okay, which is responsible to trap the solar energy. Okay, so this is the cyanophycin and cyanobacteria, clear. So nothing is special, this basic features along, this special feature is that only this is the presence of thylakoid. And what is the feature of thylakoid? They are containing which thing? That is the solar energy or the sunlight trapping pigments there. Okay, now then few of them is also there which is responsible to fix the nitrogen. Now here we are going to discuss the nutrition. This cyanobacteria is mostly photoautotrophs in nature. Okay, they consisting of chlorophyll A, and they perform this photosynthesis, clear. When we talk about the reproduction, then cyanobacteria actually multiply asexually, by vegetatively, that means either by fragmentation or by binary fission and this one thing. Then sexual reproduction does not occur, that means no gametogenesis, no fusion, no formation, nothing is there. Okay, if you observe the basic way of multiplication, then first of all binary fission. Okay, very well. What is the method? Simple method of binary fission. Then fragmentation in the colonial form or in the filamentous form, they are responsible to make their small fragments, clear. Conidia formation we learned earlier in the form of, okay, when that spherical spores like structure present on the filament structure in the linear way, that is called as conidia. The endospores and the exospores are also produced there, and but these are, some of them is a non-productive nature. Okay, now here we can learn about the differences between the bacteria and the cyanobacteria is there. Okay, so what is the feature of bacteria? First we are considering the cell wall. Okay, the cell wall is 1 or 2 layer in bacteria, while it is 4 layered in the cyanobacteria. Okay, bacterial cell is comparatively smaller in nature while the cyanobacterial is larger in nature. Okay, then the plasmodermata is, and the pores are do not occur in the cell wall, while here it is present in the cyanobacteria for exchanging the material. Clear? These exhibit the structural elaboration. Some structure which is present in the membrane and cell wall, they are extended in nature while it is absent here. Okay, bacteria are both autotrophic and heterotrophic, but this cyanobacteria is specifically autotrophic in nature, as you know that they are photoautotrophs in nature. Clear? Now, then they possess this autotrophic possess one thing, bacteriochlorophyll, while this possesses the some special contents of chlorophyll A, which is quite similar to the modern plants. Clear? These bacteria are photosynthetic and oxygenic in nature, while the cyanobacteria are oxygenic in nature. They perform oxygen during the photosynthesis. Okay, these are photoautotrophs and they contain the phycobilins, while they contain this photosynthetic pigment as the phycobilins. Flagellas are absent, while here it is also absent, but it may be present here. Okay, the store food material in the form of the glycogen, while here it is in the form of the special this Synovian starch. Okay, the starch is the basic feature of the store material of the plants. Okay, so it is quite one step ahead from the other bacteria to the plants. Clear? Now, if we can learn about some uses of cyanobacteria. Okay, this cyanobacteria have the ability to fix the atmospheric nitrogen, so they are responsible for nitrogen cycle. Clear? They are responsible for making the natural fertilizers. Okay, you heard about the green manure, so it is very important for this one thing. Clear? Likewise, this Anabina, then this Tolipothics, and this one is responsible for erosion. Okay, and it is responsible for conservation of soil also. This spirulina is a protein-rich supplement of human being. You heard about the SCP. What is the full form? SCP, single cell protein. Now these days, this spirulina is produced where in the laboratory as one of the richest source. It is used as the protein supplement in the food material. Okay, so this is the SCP. Remember, single cell protein. Clear? Now, and these are all like the Alocera, and they prevent the mosquito larvae to grow in the surroundings. So this way we can prevent this malarial parasites and this one thing. Okay, some harmful effects are also there. What is this one thing? This bacteria actually having the responsible for discolor the walls of roofs and buildings and the monuments and the statues. Clear? This Oscillatoria causes the asthma and the gastrointestinal diseases. Okay, so very harmful for the respiratory tract. And this one thing, this Oscillatoria water bodies shows the pollution of the organic matter. Clear? The excessive growth of cyanobacteria in the water blooms, which decreases the oxygen level in the water demand, and it is responsible for decreasing the quality of the water. Now, finally, the fourth form of the bacteria, that is the Mycoplasma. Clear? You know that Roux, a scientist named Roux, in 1898, he discovered this one thing. Clear? And he observed that the pleural fluid of the cattle suffering from the pleuropneumonia. Okay, so this organism is named as PPLO, pleuropneumonia-like organism, or it is also called as the MLO, that means the Mycoplasma-like organism. And you know that this one is very small in the nature. Even it can transpass to the bacterial filter also. Okay, and you know the one variety of Mycoplasma, that is Mycoplasma gallisepticum. It is the smallest living creature in the nature. Remember this one. Okay, and this is called as the joker of the bacteria, or this group, Monerian group. Why we call the joker? Because its shape is not fixed. Okay, so that's why even it is in the size of the bacteria, but it is transpasses to the bacterial filter also. Clear? Now, nothing any other special feature, but here you can see that this multiple bodies are there, ribosomes are there. Okay, the soluble protein is present, it is surrounded by the membrane, capsule and cell wall is absent, but to protect it, it's surrounded by this proteinous structure. Okay, Now it causes some harms to this one thing, okay, that is like the pneumonia, like the domestic animals, okay, mycoplasmal urethritis in human beings, the bunchy top disease of the papaya, and the little leaf disease of the brinjal, okay. That means this is responsible for causing diseases in plants, in animals, and even in human beings, clear. So it is quite harmful, okay. Now finally I just want to say that these bacteria are very important for the living system, okay. Not only they play such an important role for transformation of the basic living creature to the modern creature. Second thing, they are very important for establishing the photoautotropic mode of nutrition, clear. Next one thing, they are responsible to develop the photosynthesis pigment, that is the chlorophyll, okay. Not only this positive thing, but they are also helpful for which one thing, recycling of the minerals also, clear. They are very important for production of some organic matters too, okay. You know that they are very important for industrial purposes too. So many industries are purely based on this one thing, even your paper industry, your wine industry, your dairy industry, your bakery industry, okay. And even at your home during this cooking processes like making of jalebis, the making of this idlis or this cakes and this one thing, cheese and all this one, okay. We are using this bacteria, but on the other hand they also cause diseases, they have parasitic mode of life, they are responsible for causing destruction to the nature and the environment, clear. They are responsible to cause harm to the historical monuments and the buildings and the statues, clear. But even though they are very important, clear. So this is all about the Monera, okay. So just keep learning, and I again want to give you such a big thank you for listening me carefully. Just learn it continuously, twice, thrice, then it will make your concept clear, okay. Now one more thing, if you don't have the book, then don't afraid of it, you can download this one from the e-version of the NCERT or the CBSE website, okay. No need of buying book, you can directly download from this website, okay. Next one thing, that is the eCBSE, okay. And one more thing, this NCERT solution is also available on the different website, so you can collect your answers and continuous studies, okay. So please keep learning, keep studying. Thank you.